So what if she couldn't have just heard them out?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Hi everyone, it's Dr. Horowitz here, and I'm visiting with Francesca and her daughter Danny. We've been talking about active listening and why it's so critically important that you learn and apply this skill to your repertoire of your ever-growing set of communication skills. Active listening is a specific strategy for ensuring that when you are having a conversation or needing to communicate with another person on an interpersonal level, that you are able to let the other person know that they are fully being heard and understood from their point of view. This is not about making a decision. This is not about one-way communication. It's a very specific strategy in which you focus on listening intensely. And the way that you will verify that you've been listening intensely is by paraphrasing or summarizing what the other person's points actually are. Simply nodding your head, saying "I understand," is not demonstrating that you have fully heard someone. So we're going to take this hypothetical situation and we'll call it the mom, I'd like to borrow the car, in which newly licensed driver Danny is asking her mom if she can now have access to the car. Let's listen in.
So, Mommy, now that I have my license, I was hoping I could borrow a car.
Oh, okay. Well, generally, Danny, I know this is a great achievement, but you're a brand new driver, and I know you've taken the lessons and you've done everything that you needed to do in order to get this license. But I think you still need some driving lessons. I think that for the next several months that we should continue to have you drive with somebody like me, maybe alongside you, and just to build up your experience and confidence behind the wheel. Okay, what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I'm qualified. The state of California gave me a license, and all my other friends are driving. It would help me feel more independent if I could drive myself around. And I'm responsible. I can help out with the gas, maybe help out with the insurance, make sure nothing happens to the car. I'd really like to be able to drive.
And what do you mean by independence?
Well, I guess being able to drive myself around, I would just feel like I can be on my own. I can go out with my friends and you wouldn't have to be there. I could just spend time with my friends on my own. That to me is what independence would look like.
Okay, so let me see if I hear you correctly. You think that you're saying that by driving on your own, you will be able to help out with household errands. You'll be able to be more independent. I wouldn't have to take you anywhere I wouldn't have to drive you anywhere. You'd be able to spend time with your friends. Is that pretty accurate? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, let's freeze this scene for just a moment and let's point out a couple of things we saw and observed. Francesca gave her point of view, and that's perfectly appropriate as a mom with a daughter who's newly licensed. She has some trepidation about sending her out solo, if you will. Like to spend a little more time easing into the situation. Danny, on the other hand, is raring to go. She made her points. And if you noticed, and this is what's critical, during this conversation, Francesca stopped. She asked what we call a clarifying question, which was, what do you mean by independence? And these are the only two communications a person practicing active listening does. You are either summarizing the conversation and the points made by the other person, or you're asking clarifying questions in order to gain a fuller understanding of that point of view. Having said that, let's see how the story finally plays out.
So, Another thing I'd like to add is I would also be able to help out with groceries, and I can also pick my sister up from work. You wouldn't have to do that. And if there's an emergency, I can always be there to help out now. And lastly, you wouldn't have to drive me everywhere, so it would save you a lot of time.
Okay, so let me just summarize all of this and make sure that I get it all, that I understand what you're saying. You'd like to go solo. You just got your driver's license. You think you're capable of driving on your own, and the reason being that this would give you a sense of independence. You'd be able to go and do things on your own without me having to take you to these places that you need to go to, whether it's hanging out with your friends, etc. You would be able to help out with the household chores or errands. You'd be able to pick up your sister for me, and you'd also be able to be a point of contact for emergency contact if you were to be able to drive on your own. Is this correct? Is this what I'm hearing?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, then I think these are good points and so on. I think at this point I'll just have to take this and I'll think it through, and we'll come back and discuss this so that we can make a decision on it. How's that?
Wow, there you have it. An actual demonstration of active listening in action. Notice, a decision was not made today. This was not about making a decision. This is different. This is about gaining information, respecting another person's point of view, hearing them out fully, letting them know that you've heard them fully, and yes, that you will then continue to work toward reaching a solution to whatever situation you happen to be engaged in. So, let's go ahead and add this to your repertoire, and we'll call this active listening. It's the key to building successful interpersonal communication and relationships.